Earlier, I spoke with Mohammed Abdirazak, and I began by asking him about where things stand now with the elections. Mohammed, thank you so much for being with us. So, elections in Somalia have obviously been delayed for almost a year now. They've been delayed at least 3 times. We just got word that Somali leaders have agreed to hold elections by February 25th. Do you trust that this time the elections will actually go ahead as planned?
That's correct, Zain. The National Consultative Council, which consists of the Prime Minister and the heads of the state governments, have concluded their meeting yesterday, announcing that the elections, the parliamentary elections, will be conducted and concluded from January 15 to February 25th. Although I personally and so many other Somalis welcome this development, we are cautiously optimistic because we've had a number of agreements in the past that were not implemented.
And if these elections don't go through, if they end up getting delayed again, I mean, this government has lost so much credibility, not just in the eyes of Somali people, but also the international community at large. If they don't go through as promised, what happens then? Can you envisage more violence in the streets of Mogadishu?
Correct, absolutely. The political discourse and the impasse has made our governance system look less credible. We've already had Al-Shabaab developing a narrative to show this as an example that democracy doesn't work. I can also see that people who are frustrated with the lack of progress in holding elections to go out to the streets. We've already seen this. People do this violently back in February and again in April. This could get out of hand. This, coupled with disagreements between the president and the prime minister, makes our institutions weaker. And so the potential for conflict is real.
You know, from the outside looking in, you know, the president's sort of repeated decisions to try to delay elections in Somalia look like a brazen attempt at a power grab to consolidate his own power. You used to work for the president, and now that you no longer work for the president, you are obviously able to speak more freely and speak much more openly about him. The last time I spoke to you, you refused to describe what the president was doing as a power grab. Have you changed your mind now that you're no longer working with him?
I will say this. The fact that the president has not held elections 1 year later is definitely a testament that his inability to move the country forward.
And when you think about some of the other issues that Somalia is dealing with, obviously the country, as you well know, has been trapped in this cycle of violence. You know, at one point it was described as the most failed state on earth. This sort of decision to delay elections, the resulting sort of possible violence, and really the squabbling that we're seeing between the president and the prime minister, how much is all of that a distraction from what's happening in the country with Al-Shabaab?
Okay, so the fact that the president and the prime minister have a conflict, it means that our weak institutions are put to the test. More so, our military and security forces now have to come out, you know, from the battlefronts and into the city to make sure that the president and the prime minister and the collapse of the state does not take place. This is a major distraction from the fight against Al-Shabaab. What I am saying is that if Somalia does not move forward in holding elections, mind you, that elections have been a stabilizing factor for our country for the last 2 weeks. Elections and smooth transitions. If people do not see that this is not happening, they will take matters into their own hands. And security forces will have to keep the order instead of fighting against Al-Shabaab. And so that makes, in turn, much more riskier, not only for us in Somalia, but it has real security ramifications for the region and globally.
Mohammed, thank you so much for being with us. Appreciate it.